Welcome to the Age is Irrelevant podcast with your host, Helen Fritsch. Helen is a 60-plus, lifelong competitive athlete, flight attendant, published fitness model, writer, IFBB bodybuilding pro, and certified wine specialist who believes that your age is irrelevant to pursue goals, dreams, and desires. Are you a woman in her 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond who still has a burning desire to pursue a dream or a passion? Are you thinking about starting a new chapter in your life, but you're hesitant, thinking that you might be too old or just don't know where to begin? The Age is Irrelevant podcast is a podcast devoted to women who want to defy the odds, smash barriers, and redefine happiness and success after 40. It's time to make a difference. There is no need to dread blowing out that added birthday candle every year. A new movement is slowly taking momentum, where being over the hill just isn't relevant anymore. Age labels are being thrown out the window, and women are rediscovering the strength within themselves to make a difference, not only within their own lives, but also touching and inspiring the lives of other women. Join Helen as she and her guests discuss all aspects of aging after 40 and how to make the aging process and those twilight years more rewarding, exciting, and fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Age is Irrelevant podcast. I'm your host, Helen Fritsch, flight attendant, bodybuilder, health advocate, and your biggest cheerleader for living life with no limits, no matter your age. Today's guest is nothing short of extraordinary. I'm thrilled to welcome Natalie Grabow, who made history as the oldest woman to ever complete the Kona Ironman World Championships. At 80 years young, Natalie is the ultimate reminder that it's never too late to chase a dream, push your limits, and inspire the world while doing it. We're diving into her incredible journey from training and mindset to resilience, purpose, and what keeps her fire burning bright. You're going to love this conversation, so grab a coffee or lace up your sneakers for a good walk and settle in for a huge dose of inspiration, because Natalie is living proof that age truly is irrelevant. Here we go.
Hi, Natalie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. And so, for my listeners, I am beyond thrilled to welcome an extraordinary woman whose story perfectly embodies the spirit of perseverance, passion, and purpose. My guest today, Natalie Grabow, recently made history as the oldest woman to complete the Kona Ironman World Championships, one of the most grueling endurance events on the planet. At 80 years young, Natalie didn't just finish, she inspired the world, proving that strength, determination, and heart truly have no expiration date. Her journey from athlete to Ironman finisher is a testament to the power of mindset, discipline, and belief that age truly is irrelevant. So again, Natalie, welcome to the show. So happy to have you, especially so soon after your big event. And just looking at your history, this is not your first Kona.
No,
This is your third?
11th.
11th.
Yes.
I thought it was your third. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with three. 11. That is
Yeah.
that is amazing. So obviously congratulations. How does it feel to hold the title of the oldest woman ever to finish the Kona Ironman Championships?
Well, it feels great. I mean, I've raced all year at 80 and no one made a big deal of it. So it's a little funny, but I guess because even in the 70.3, the half Ironman distance, not that many people are racing at my age, but I guess because obviously because the Ironman is such a long distance and and it's not attempted by many people. Only one person has tried to finish it at that age. So it just seemed like one of the many times I've done this race. So I didn't feel that much different, other than being more aware of the cutoff times this time around.
Right, right. What I like to do with a lot of my guests is just like start from the very, very beginning. If you could tell us a little bit about your background, like where you're born. I mean, if you were athletic
Sure.
as a child and how
Mhm.
you came about getting where you are today.
Sure. So I was born in Altoona, Pennsylvania, but we moved to New Jersey when we were all very young. So I grew up until eighth grade in down at the shore area of New Jersey, so central New Jersey. And during that time, this was the 40s and 50s. Um, we just played outside when we, had free time,
We
and we
did
just
too. Yeah.
ran around, and my mother whistled for us to come in for dinner, and we played in the woods and rode bikes and ran around and played on somebody had a swing set, but it was a not a very it was a probably moderately economic area. It was We didn't have lessons, or that wasn't, part of our lives. We went to school and played. So my brother played little league, but there weren't any real sports or opportunities for girls back then. And then we moved to Mountain Lakes, New Jersey, when I was going into ninth grade. And again, there weren't any sports, but there was cheerleading, and I always practiced cartwheels on the, at recess time, and to try to get better at that, teaching myself. So I was a cheerleader, and again, that was pretty much all that was available to us. And then I went to college, and I majored in math, and pretty much did nothing but study. And I took a job with Bell Labs, where I met my husband. And during that time, the way to meet other young people was to join the ski club. Now, I had never learned to ski, but I joined the club and got an outfit, and
It
somehow
is all about the outfit. I
it
mean,
is
I
all about
ski,
the
and for me,
outfit.
it's all about the outfit. I
I'll
agree.
still remember some guy saying to me, "You've never skied before, and you went out and bought an outfit." But I mean, you had to have something to wear. So, I got down the easy slopes, and it was fun to go on these trips with the ski club during that time. And then we got married, and our girls were born a couple of years after that. And I pretty much didn't do much other than when they got old enough for preschool or kindergarten, I started learning how to play tennis. Again, I hadn't had any lessons, but we took some lessons and played women's doubles tennis. And so I did that. It was a good activity while my girls were in school to do that. And then um, I started to run a little bit. I would try running and then get injured, and then I try it again the next year. But then I went back to work when I was 43, and I started to run more consistently then, because it was something that I could do that took a short amount of time, and you got a lot of fitness from that. So I would run sometimes at lunchtime with some people, or right after work, and I would enter 5Ks and 10Ks. I've always been competitive, so I enjoyed that part of it. And I would supplement that with some step aerobics classes, or get it on the Stairmaster and things like that to,
Hmm.
to complement that, so I wasn't running all the time. And then I retired in my early 50s, and was running a lot. And then my friends were getting more and more into triathlon, and my running friends. So um, it appealed to me, but I had to, tell them that I had never learned to swim. So that was hard to say, but they were all doing a sprint. So they had done it for a couple of years, and they were doing a sprint. And so I asked one of my daughters, who was living in DC at the time, to come up. She's my competitive one, and I'd asked her to do the half-mile swim for me, and I would do it as a relay, so I could do the bike and the run. So she came up, and I said, "Amy, I don't care how fast you go, just finish so I can get on the bike." And I just loved it. I loved the energy, and I loved the people, and I loved the competitive spirit, and getting on my bike. And so then, people said, "Yes, you can learn to swim at your age." And so I went to somebody's pool, and showed me how to blow bubbles and do that, and I went to my Y and slowly asked for, some help with people there. All my friends were trying to help me figure it out. So 9 months later, I did my first sprint triathlon in the spring of 2005.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. I was an endurance athlete, a track athlete and cross country when I was in school, high school and college. And
Mm,
so it's interesting. I'm 68, and it's interesting because back then in the 70s, and it sounds like I was like nodding my head the entire time you were talking. Um, we didn't have weight training back then. We didn't have nutritional guidance. It was just basically your training and then your genetics. I mean, I attribute it to just good genes that I was able to run long distances, very well. And then I also attribute that to my parents also being athletic, especially my
mm,
dad. And he would take me
mhm,
out and
mhm,
entice me like
mm,
the state
mhm.
championships were coming up. And he would say, well, if you break this time, I'll give you $20. And back then
But
in the 70s,
but
$20 is
that's
a lot of
great.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's great to have I didn't have parents like that. Um, my dad died at 62 of a heart attack, and they didn't do anything athletic. They smoked, and so that was the kind of household I grew up in. So, and they certainly didn't encourage girls in sports. So, you
right.
know, I was just a little too young, early for all that. But when my girls were born, from early on, they learned to swim, they did gymnastics, they played soccer, they ran, they did all the sports, and watching my granddaughters do the same. But it was a different time back then for sure.
Right, right. So, you're doing these triathlons. So, training for Kona, it's like it's no small feat. I mean, can you walk us through, especially your mindset about, approaching that and thinking, well, can I do it? Should I do it? How do I do it? I mean, that would be, my thought process. Like, well, I want to do it, but, so how is that for
Yeah.
you?
Well, certainly helped that I had been there 10 times before. And the last time was 2022. Now, I went into that race with a little foot injury, so I had to walk a lot of the marathon. And I was very close to the cutoff time, as it turns out. I didn't know I was, but my daughter always comes to support me, and my husband's not able to travel with me, so I kind of take care of him at home here. But my daughter comes with me, and she said, "Mom, you better start running a little bit because you're not going to make the 17 hours." So I was only maybe 10 minutes away from 17 hours for that race. So I kind of left Kona saying, "Goodbye. This is it for me. It's been fun, but 10 is a nice even number to finish at." And then I had a couple good years of racing 70.3s. And then I decided to challenge myself to do Ironman Maryland last year because very few people, only one person has done an Ironman of any kind over 78. So I thought that'd be cool. I'll challenge myself to do an Ironman, not Kona, but an Ironman at 79. So I did Ironman Maryland, and I was really pleased. I did it under 16 hours, despite having a flat tire and the roads being flooded
Oh,
during the
wow.
run, where you had to walk in knee-deep water. But I still had a good time. And the next day, I wasn't doing it to qualify for Kona. I was doing it as the challenge in and of itself. But I was with some friends of mine who supported me during that race. And then talking to them and talking to my coach, they said, you know, I think you can do Kona again. I think you could make the time cut off. So I started thinking about it, and I had to decide whether I'd be okay doing it, but maybe not finishing in time. Would I be really disappointed in myself, or would I just take it as a challenge and be happy, that I tried?
Hmm.
So once I got through that mental process, I decided to take the slot and give it a try. And this year I've had a great year of training, no real showstoppers. I had 370.3 races where I didn't have any competition, but I had good times and I did well in each of the three disciplines. So I felt good going into Kona, and I felt like I could, hit the time deadlines. It's the first time I've ever gone into Kona looking at the cutoff time. So I never, I always just assumed I would make them. So I was very, pretty much studying them very carefully that, okay, I have to get to the bike, cut off at this time. I have to get to the run this time. So, um, and then I had my daughter and my coach there. And so they were giving me some information, um, on the run that I was, my pace was good and I was going to make it in easily.
Right, right. What inspired you to take on the Ironman challenge in the first place? Like you were doing these triathlons. What made you think, I think I want to try a Kona?
Well, I didn't say that. I um, In 2005, I had a good first year, and then they came out with the World Championships in the half Ironman distance in the 70.3, and I thought that would be a really good challenge for me to do in 2006. So I signed up for three 70.3s, and I did my first in Florida, and I won my age group, and I took the slot to the World Championships in the 70.3. And then I did a race called Eagleman in Maryland, which that was one of the few races back then that was also a Kona qualifier. It was one of the few 70.3s that also qualified you for the full Ironman. And I came in second in that race, but the first place winner already had her slot to Kona. So I was able to take a roll down slot if I wanted to and go to Kona my second year as a triathlete. So I really wasn't thinking about it at the time, but I thought, well, this is an opportunity. I might not ever get another chance to do this. I'll take it. I talked to my coach on the phone and she said, yeah, go for it. So my second year, I ended up in Kona and I came in third in my age group. And, you know, I was, I was very pleased with myself to do that. Was my first Ironman, my first marathon, my first ocean swim. So it was a lot
Oh.
of firsts and I did well.
Can you, for my listeners, can you break down exactly the 70.3, exactly what that entails?
The 70.3 is exactly half of the full Ironman. So it's a 1.2 mile swim, a 56-mile bike, and then a half marathon, 13.1 miles of running.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for doing that.
Hmm.
Uh, Um, so can you walk us through your typical training week as far as, prepping for the Kona?
Sure. Um, Probably 4 days a week, at least 4 or 5. I do two workouts in a day. So I might do a run and a swim, or a bike and a run, or some combination. Um, Pretty short, maybe 1.5 to 2 hour bike during the week, and a 35 to 45 minute run, and 3,000 yards or so swim. I swam 3 times a week. And then on the weekend, I would do my long workouts. It's kind of funny because I'm retired, so I could do them anytime, but I think coaches get used to putting long things on the weekends for all their athletes. So I would
Hmm.
do my long bike on a Saturday and prepping for the uh, Ironman, that would grow, slowly from 4 to 4.5 to 5 to 5.5 to 6 hours, on the bike. I bike inside exclusively now on a trainer, and then for the run, again build up my time, but it was always a run walk for the longer runs. So I would run um, 10 to minutes to a mile and then walk for a minute or so and repeat that. And I think the longest I did was 2 hours and 20 minutes for doing that.
Mm.
So it's my total mileage for the run never got more than about 20 miles total in a week. So given that I, run 26.2, it's you kind of just you're used to the volume and the consistency and you kind of get through it that way.
Right. Well, and living in New Jersey too, I'm sure in the wintertime, it's, how hard is it to get out and run, especially if it's the streets are filled with snow and all
Yeah,
that.
it's not that hard. I've been ever since I had that foot injury, I decided to start running on the track, which is a little more cushioned. And I mean, a lot of people would think that's very boring to run around in circles, but um, if it keeps me healthy, that's what I do. So as long as there wasn't snow on the track, I like the cold, so I enjoy running outside in the cold. There were times when it was icy or snowy, and I would go and run on the treadmill at the Y.
Right, right. Um, Talk about some of your biggest physical and mental challenges along the way.
Well, I think the biggest physical challenge has always been to swim. Um, I still, if the water is rough, it was pretty rough in Kona this year. Not real rough, but it was choppy. So when you went to take a breath, you quite often got a little mouthful of water. So, I mean, that's always a challenge. Plus, it's not like swimming in your lane in the Y. You have people around you, people that
Yeah.
hit you on the head and knock off your goggles and things like that. And, you're going along fine, following somebody's feet, and then all of a sudden somebody's, pushing you out of the way. So, you
Hmm.
have to get kind of be pretty brave on the swim, I think, because I was a late learner. I mean, some people really find that the nicest part, that they love the swim. I have a good friend who I went to Kona with, and she's a strong swimmer. She loves the swim, and um, in Kona they have a wave start. So the older women were in, I think we were in second or third wave, and then her age group, 55 to 59, was the next age group. So I was telling her, yeah, all you women, you came up and clobbered us. You're going so fast. So, but anyway, so I think the swim is always physically the most challenging for me.
Did you have the ability to, since you were at the shore, I mean, go out into the ocean and swim in the ocean for practice?
No, no. I mean, um, I think uh, it's pretty cold, um, and it's for me to drive there. It's a good hour and a half or so
Oh,
to
okay.
get down
Okay.
there to swim in the ocean, and I'm not eager to do that. Uh, I'm not. I have a lake about a block away from me, and I don't swim in the lake either. I get
Mm,
very congested in any kind of water other than a
a
pool or
pool.
something like that.
Right.
Yeah. I do belong to a Lifetime Fitness near me. So when my Y was closed for maintenance, I would go there, and they have a beautiful outdoor pool,
Yeah.
which is really, you felt like you were on vacation swimming there. So that was really fun.
Yeah. I belonged to a lifetime at one point too, and I felt like I was going to a country club every day.
Yeah,
It
I
was
know.
it was
It's
so great. It was
so
so great.
nice. Yes.
Um, did you ever have doubts about your ability to compete? And if so, how did you push through those moments?
Um, to compete in things in general, or
Well,
that
just yeah,
race.
probably in your more tougher races, like the Kona, or even like the 70.3, when you were doing that initially.
Um, no, I just always felt like my coaches prepared me well, um, and that I never, I always knew that I was going to be a little slow in the swim, but I never, I'm pretty brave, so I have never panicked or gotten kind of flustered in the swim, even though I'm a little slow. And then I'm just so happy to get out of the water and to get on my beloved bike. And
Hmm.
that's my favorite part. And I love riding my bike, and especially when the roads are really nice, and there's a few races that I just love because it's just beautiful roads, and what's better than that, to be able to ride outside and
Hmm.
go fast down a hill, and so I get a lot of joy out of that. Yeah.
That's great. That's
So
great.
I've never really doubted my abilities to finish a race.
Oh, that's good. That's great. Well, you've clearly mastered the art of perseverance. What drives you to keep setting such big goals for your age?
Well, I guess part of it is being competitive, but I also know that I love the day-to-day training, And so that whole process and is the important thing for me. So if somebody said you can't ever race again, that would be fine with me, really. I just want to be able to get up and do one of my activities or two of them each day and to feel strong. And that gives me confidence and I feel strong mentally as well if I can do that. And I'm able to take care of the house and my husband and do all the things that I do by feeling so strong. So, and then when I go to a race, that's a great feeling to um, get yourself out of your comfort zone because you're always a little nervous, no matter who you are, whether you're a pro or a seasoned, triathlete. You're always a little bit nervous, but I think we all remind ourselves we get to do this. This is how lucky are we that we have the ability to line up here and do this when so many people can't. So I always race with a lot of gratitude that I'm able to do this. And so as long as I'm able to race, I'll continue to race. I love that. I love being competitive and getting out there.
That's awesome. You've talked about some injuries and stuff
Mhm.
during your training and certain races and stuff. How do you stay mentally strong when things, do get tough, like in
Yeah.
training or competition or even just life in general?
It's hard, it's hard being injured. It's the worst thing in the world. So I try to not do that. I try to stay on the right side of that, but it happens. And and I know from experience that I always get through it. That even though it's really difficult now and I have to go to therapy or I have to do this or I have to rest, I know that, okay, this is part of it and try to stay busy with something else,
Right.
clean out something or do something constructive at home and it too shall pass. So it happens to everybody and I always kind of like reading about that, okay, this really great person had an injury and they came back from it. And I think that tells us all that it happens to everybody and it's just a matter of patience and doing what you need to do to if you need to get some uh, kind of therapy or massage or whatever you need to do to
Right.
or just plain rest, do what you can and then it will be over at some point.
Yeah, I think for most of us as athletes, I think rest is a four-letter word. It's,
Yeah,
it's it's uh
I know.
it's tough. I compete in bodybuilding shows, and so
Oh,
I've had some injuries too, and
uh-huh. So
it's just it's
from doing strength training.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
tearing a
Okay.
hamstring muscle or something, and then you
Yeah.
have to take off 2 weeks or whatever, and
Oh
it's
no.
really it's hard.
Terrible.
It's
Yeah,
really hard, especially when you have a competition coming up just like you. So
exactly.
I can totally relate to
Yeah, I
your
think the hard part is before these big competitions because if you got injured before 70.3, so you lose the race fee, but all the other things, you're going to drive there, you have a hotel that you can cancel. It's not a big deal, but for Kona, you've made airplane plans. You've had family members decide to come. You have a house that you can't get that money back from renting.
hmm
Um, you have the race fee. You have so much invested in that
hmm
it's a lot, to try to get to the. One of my friends that I was traveling with got really sick right before, and I was traveling with her. So I'm on, you know, the website ordering masks, 'cause I'm traveling with her. I got to put on a mask, so it's like, uh, I think that's one of the harder things just to get to that start line, you
Right.
know,
Yeah. All the
health.
buildup. I mean, and it's all the behind the
Yeah,
scenes things that like the audience
yes,
doesn't
exactly.
really know what's going on, you
Right,
know.
right.
Which leads me to this question. Let's talk about like as far as like you're in the gym training, like strength training, your nutrition. I mean, how does that work for you?
So I've never really strength trained, but when I did Ironman Maryland in preparation to qualify for Kona, my arms were very, very sore. And I said afterwards to my friends, my arms felt terrible. I just I could hardly, swim. And they're kind of skinny arms, and I had shoulder surgery in 2021, and that arm and shoulder has never really been great. So they said, we work with a really great strength guy at Lifetime Fitness. You need to go. So last October 1st, I started with him. So I go once a week there, and he really helped me. It's mostly upper body for me, but with some lower body, and so it's helped me a bit.
Good.
So I'll continue with that.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
great. And what about your diet? Are you really on a clean eating diet, a regiment,
no,
or I would think with all the calories that you're burning nonstop, your goal is just to consume calories so you don't
yes.
lose weight or whatever.
Well, I just eat what I want. I
Yeah.
eat when I'm hungry, and I eat what appeals to me. And I think your body knows what it needs. That's my opinion. And this is fun. This is our fun. This is our passion. I've never wanted to make it a real serious thing. Okay, count my calories or how much of this I'm taking in. That kind of wouldn't be fun for me.
Hmm.
So I eat sweets. I eat this. I eat that. I don't have a problem with gluten. I don't have a problem with anything.
That's
So
great.
my stomach is very strong. I read race reports that, okay, I drank so much of this salt water that I, got sick, and I don't have a problem with it. You
That's
know,
good.
I'm on the run and I'm saying, okay, that potato chip looks good, and I'll eat that. I, I kind of am lucky that way. I've never needed to go to a nutritionist or try to figure out that type of thing.
That's great. How do you, since we're speaking of this, when you're in the middle of a race, how do you source? I mean, what kind of fuel do you use just to keep up?
Yeah, I use the gels, so I use goos and use those pretty much exclusively. And then I take a sports drink and water.
Okay.
And
Electrolytes and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, I took a lot of salt this time because in each of my 70.3 races this year and in previous years too, I've cramped at the beginning of the run really badly and kind of stop in your tracks. And
Mm.
I know it always goes away if I get enough electrolytes in me. I get to the next aid station and drink a lot of whatever they're offering, and then I'm okay. Kind of alter my gait a little bit, and then it goes away. But I was very meticulous this time with taking a lot of salt in on the bike, and it really helped me. I never cramped on the run, so that was good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How do you approach recovery and self-care after an intense, event?
Well, my coach said take a week off, and I was happy to do that. Just, doing the travel is hard and stressful. Luckily, my daughter lives outside of San Francisco, so we flew back together, and then my flight was it left late. So um, my next flight was like 2 seconds later. And so I'm saying to Amy, I don't think I can run to that gate. Honey, you go run. Tell them I'm on my way. So she's running, and there's absolutely nobody there, and they're just about to close the doors. My mother's coming. So anyway,
Oh,
I got on the plane, and so that whole thing, and you're tired, and you get in. It's a red eye, and you're getting.
oh, those are the
You just
worst.
you just take your time and get through the day. You know what it feels like, and my husband had been in an assisted living place while I was gone, so that I knew he'd be safe and cared for. So I had a few days at home just to get everything, um, orderly and get food in and everything. And then I got him and brought him home, and just so I was just busy with that. And then, of course, all the media attention started coming, and that's been a full-time job, kind of. But
Yeah,
I started with my workouts a week after, and just doing, an hour kind of things, an hour bike, 35-minute run and short swim. So I'm doing great. I feel good. I have good energy.
that's great. Can you take us back to the moment when you crossed that finish line? I mean, what was going through your mind?
Well, if you've seen the video, you
I
saw
have.
me
It's very
fall.
inspiring that when you fell.
Uh, I just, I was kind of mortified, like, what happened here? And so, I think I would have been had a smile on my face and a little bit more presentable, but all I wanted to do is just get up and get going. So that was strange. I never expected that. And then Cherie was there at the finish line to greet me, which was very sweet. And she was so generous with her, words and so happy for me. And my coach's husband put the towel around me, so that was great to see him. And so yeah, I was just really happy that I had done well and that I felt so good on the run. I really was happy with that part.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now let's talk about your coach. Your coach is Michelle,
Mhm.
and how did you find her?
Well, I had a one coach for about 9 years, and then she was getting more into CrossFit and other things, and she didn't train the bike with power, and I knew I wanted to start working with a coach that knew how to do that. So I found someone, and he was just great. He was out of Boulder, and I feel like I really improved my bike a lot working with him. He gave me very um, really challenging bike workouts, and he never treated me like I was an older person. He just I just loved working with him. And unfortunately, he passed away
Oh,
2 years ago of metastatic melanoma at an age of 48. So it was
oh,
very, very devastating to me and to all of his athletes and his family, of course. So that was hard to get over that. And then one of my friends, Marge, who actually I had met in 2006 at Eagleman, who had won that year, and I took the roll down slot. I reached out to her because I knew she had had a coach that she liked. She can no longer compete because she has a knee problem, but she had liked her coach, I knew. So I asked her who her coach had been. And so she suggested that Michelle was a great coach and would be a great fit. So I chatted with her, and so it will be 2 years in January, I think.
that's great. I know for me, I mean, as far as the coach athlete relationship is really
Mhm.
key to your success. I've had some
Mhm.
really, really great coaches, and then I've had some really, really bad
Mhm.
coaches. And when you have a bad coach, that kind of fades into your mental mindset and your whole workouts and your goals and everything. So I'm really, really happy that you found somebody that you can continue and do all
Mhm.
this from, especially the partnership that you have with her, because a lot of
Mhm.
it involves, teamwork, trust, and
Sure.
and perseverance. Nobody wants to jump from coach to coach to coach, right?
No, no. And I've been lucky that I've had just long-term relationships. And it takes a long time to really get to know somebody, I think, and to understand them and to trust their process and that type of thing. So,
Is
um,
she local for you or you do this
no, she's
online?
online. Yeah, she's in Virginia. She did come to Kona, but she's in Virginia.
Okay, I know how excited she is. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
What message would you like to share with women who think that they're too old to start something
Mm.
new?
Well, I would say that you're not, but that you need to find something that you enjoy. So, don't look at me like doing triathlon and say, well, I can't do that. I'm not going to do anything. Say, okay, I can join the arthritis class at the pool and move. And it's
Hmm.
I can meet people and it's great music. Or I can join a little walking group and that's fun. Or I can go and play pickleball because they invite anybody to come and they have a beginner group and I could try that. So I think it's finding the activity that you yourself would enjoy, that would get you moving, that you would go back to, that you don't dread. Something that it could be maybe starting to learn to play golf or there's so many things that you can do where you're moving. So I think you just have to kind of think about what it is that you would like to do. Maybe just slow swimming. There's a lot of people who they don't compete, but they just really enjoy their time in the pool. They say they really get to think about things and they just, really enjoy that. So I think there's something for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. And it doesn't necessarily have to be athletic. It could be just like you said, anything, book club, quilting, I
Right.
mean,
Mhm. But
sewing,
I think it's
anything.
important to move your body, though. I
Yeah.
would like to, you know, have people move in some way. Maybe it's just getting a stationary bike and pedaling, just something where you're and doing some maybe weight bearing activity on your legs just to keep your bones strong.
Right. That's huge at our age for sure.
For
I
sure.
mean, my big statement is like, muscle is the key to longevity, just because there's so many movements that we take for granted, standing up, sitting down, getting out of a
Right.
car,
Mhm.
getting up off a toilet seat. I mean, there's so many
Right.
things. And then when you get injured or something happens, and all of a sudden and you can't do these things anymore, it's life
Yeah.
changing for sure.
Well, I see that with my husband. He has a difficult time doing all those things, and it's not his fault. It's just the luck of the draw. Is he if he he would try and his legs aren't cooperating. So, you have to get the special things and
Hmm.
to help somebody and so if you're not there, if you're able-bodied, then take advantage of that. How lucky are you that you can move, and get stronger. So, find something that you like.
Right. And I think just what you said too is that, especially at our age too, community is really important. Just because
Yeah,
if you find something that you enjoy doing, especially with other people, that's going
yeah,
to give you incentive to continue
yes.
to do it.
Yeah,
So,
they'll say, "Where were you yesterday? I didn't see you." Oh,
hmm.
okay, I'll come back, and they miss you and that
Right.
feels good, to go and see those. And then you could talk about other life things along the way, especially like if you walk. I mean, you can chat and that's just great. I see women in my town doing that all the time, and it's just a great time to reconnect, talk about the kids, the house, the whatever, and you're moving.
Yeah, I live in Arizona and in Phoenix, and all the hiking we have out there, especially now that the weather's so beautiful. It's the same thing. You go out there and you're, walking 2, 3, 4, 5 miles, and you're walking with people and talking
Mhm.
at the same time. You little do
Yeah.
you realize that,
Mhm.
getting on these rocks and walking upstairs and, and doing different things. It's extremely beneficial. Do you have
Yeah.
any hobbies outside of, racing?
Well, I love to read, so I read all the time. I loved mysteries and any kind of books. I have a group of high school friends, and we're always sharing book ideas. I get together with them 2 to 3 times a year. We go someplace in what we're going to Aruba this year,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah,
That's so great.
we graduated in 1963, and there were 15 of us, and 12 of us reconnected about 27 years ago. And we get together at the Jersey Shore once a year for a week. And we started out in a little tiny house with like, bunk beds and stuff, and we've grown to two houses right on the water with
That
so
is so
uh,
awesome. That's
and
so
we
awesome.
last year we went sailing on two catamarans when we all turned 80.
Wow.
And so I get together with them a lot, and we, they're all throughout the country, scattered all over. So I do that. I read. Just doing the things my husband used to do. Taking care of the house and the paperwork and all that I do now. So
Right.
it's and I have one daughter who lives nearby and grandchildren, and we get together quite often and that type of thing. So I have my
That's
friend.
that's awesome. What has the Ironman journey taught you about aging, purpose, and possibility?
Hmm. Um, well, as they say, anything is possible. I guess that's their slogan.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I think I don't think it has to be Ironman. It could be running, it could be tennis, it could be anything. Just has taught me that I can do these things and that I love to do these things and that it's an outlet for my competitive spirit, um, and a way to see people and be with like-minded people where I love my high school friends, but none of them are really into, the sport like I am. So
Hmm.
that's a different kind of, um, when we get together, we talk about other things and
Right.
our common things, having grown up in the same town and that type of thing. But um, so it's, I think it's just Ironman community is very supportive and the races are wonderful and so it's been great.
What's next for you? Any new goals on the horizon as far as racing?
Well, I want to stay healthy, and I have two races on my schedule for next year. I put them on my schedule months ago. The races open for registration at various times during the year, so those two had opened. So I have two 70.3s, one in June and one in July. And then I'll add more as they open. Um, and I have some long range goals depending on how my body goes and for the future. But kind of day by day for now.
That's great. That's really great. I just went to my 50th high school reunion
Oh, okay.
back in August, and it was fun reconnecting with high school friends. But
Hmm.
kind of like you, I'm like the only athlete in the group,
Hmm.
and so I went to high school in Kentucky, and at the time I live in Phoenix, but I work in Charlotte, so I just drove up from Charlotte up to Kentucky. But I'm used to meal prepping my food because of me competing in bodybuilding shows, and so
Hmm. Yeah.
we all stayed at a like Residence Inn because I wanted to make sure I had a kitchen.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I'm like, prepping food and stuff, and all my friends are looking at me like I'm nuts. But
Oh, exactly.
it's kind of funny, but it's like, okay, this is
Yeah,
just
when I the
it.
first year when we went down the shore, like 27 years ago, because they hadn't seen me in a while, a couple of the girls who are really good friends, we were in each other's weddings and we've stayed in touch, but some of them I hadn't seen for a while. And I was slim and running, and they're looking at, they're examining what I eat, how much I eat, and I thought, this is not fun, just please stop. And and over the years, and then I take my bike with me, my trainer and stuff, and they've come to accept it, you
Okay,
know.
yeah, yeah,
But it took
yeah,
a while. It took
yeah.
a while,
That's
and
funny. Yeah, my family's like that too. I mean, they've come to accept my lifestyle too.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
My
this,
one daughter is not very competitive, so she just wants me to come home safely,
mhm,
So, and it's just, they have just different things. Okay, mom, be safe.
right, right. Um, where can my listeners, are you on social media?
A Facebook.
Okay, so people
I
can,
have an Instagram account, but I never go on there because
okay,
people are
okay,
following me left and right, but I don't post anything there.
yeah.
But I'm on Facebook. I post on Facebook.
Okay, that's great. And that's good to know. And that's just under your name, correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And any final thoughts for those listening who might need just a little spark to get started on their own fitness goals or life goals?
I think that the trick is to start, just start. Even if you don't want to start, just start. And once you start, and once you uh, do it enough, then you'll miss it if you don't do it. And then you'll get like, okay, this feels good. Now I feel strong. And it's an iterative process. So you'll get that feedback like, wow, I can bring my groceries in a little bit easier. I'm not huffing and puffing when I'm going up the stairs.
Hmm.
So just those daily tasks, you'll feel so much better. If you're able, just start and then stay with it. Consistency is so important. It's so easy to make excuses. Oh, I have this or that. But if you if you put it as a priority, you can
Hmm.
fit it into your day.
Yeah, I think just taking that first step just makes a big
It
difference. And
really does.
I think so many people are used to feeling bad that they don't really know what feeling good is anymore. And
Yeah.
then once they do start and take that first step, and then they
Right.
start going to the gym and start being
Mhm.
active, and then they start feeling better, then they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what it's
Right.
like, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the sad thing. If you haven't done anything, I mean, it must be terribly hard to start later, But so maybe you need a friend to start with you, or
Hmm.
something like that. Maybe you're the type of person that needs that, to okay, let's try to walk a mile and see how we do.
Right.
And just baby steps, really.
It really is.
You don't have to say, okay, she did an Ironman, I can't possibly do an Ironman, so I'm not even going to try. But no, you just do something. You walk, 3 blocks, and then the next day you walk four,
Hmm.
and you do that for a while, and then the next month you do a little bit more, or you say, okay, I'm going to add a little spin class at the Y, and I'll sit in the back and I'll just pedal slowly, and nobody will look at me, but I'll feel good. And then I'll go back and I'll be stronger. So it's just, just get out there, and you'll feel so much better.
Right. I think one of the things what I love about this podcast is that I've interviewed so many women who are world champion athletes in their 60s and 70s and 80s. It's amazing. And
Mm,
they didn't even start their fitness journey until their 60s, 70s, and 80s.
yeah.
It just happened by a fluke. One gal was obesely, overweight, and
Mhm,
she decided that it was like the last straw, something happened. And finally, now
mhm,
she's a world champion swimmer. And I started competitive bodybuilding in my late 50s. And then on my
mhm.
60th birthday, I won a big national show
Wow.
and turned pro. So
Oh,
I
wow.
see a lot of women out there now lifting weights and they're entering, bodybuilding shows in their 60s and 70s.
Mhm.
I started pole vaulting because I interviewed a woman
Oh,
who was 85 who was the world champion pole vaulter at her age. And
wow.
I thought, well, gosh, if she can do it, I can do it. So it's just one
Yeah.
of those things where, and then I'm doing it. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Wow,
So,
that must be quite an experience to learn to pole vault. Wow, that's hard. It looks
yeah,
hard.
yeah, it is. And it's kind of funny because I was a track athlete, mainly a runner
Mhm.
in school, but now, due to all that running, I have like a degenerative disc issue
Okay.
in my lower
Yeah.
back, so I don't run anymore. But I throw the
Okay.
javelin, I throw the
Yeah.
discus,
Okay.
and then I pole vault, and so I've done, pretty well in my
Hmm.
age group. That, it's funny about age groups. You're excited when you get to hit that next
Oh, for
level.
sure.
That's the
Yeah.
only time,
Right, right. I know.
right?
I know. That's the truth. And that's the interesting thing about, maybe I benefited from starting so late, because when you look especially at the guys who have maybe played football or done a lot of these sports and have some sports injuries that they, can't
Yeah,
overcome at this point. So
right,
that's one of the good things, and you're with your track or whatever. So, perhaps not having done all that when I was younger,
right.
is, works for me. But I certainly can't envision myself doing the pole vault.
I bet you could. I bet you could. Well, Natalie, you've been a joy. Thank you so much for
Oh,
speaking to me
sure.
so soon after your big event. It was just such a
Um,
pleasure to meet you, and I can't wait until this comes out. I'm sure everybody's going to be super excited to hear about it, and I wish you nothing but the
Oh, thanks.
best success. I'll be one of your big fans and followers from here on out.
Oh, thanks. It was great meeting you, and good luck with your competitions.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow, what an inspiring conversation. Natalie is the perfect example of what's possible when you lead with heart, determination, and an unshakable belief in yourself. I hope this episode reminds you that it's never too late to start something new, set a big goal, or chase the dream that lights you up. because as Natalie showed us, the only limits are the ones that we place on ourselves. If you love today's episode, please share it with a friend who needs a little motivation. And don't forget to follow the show, leave a review, and connect with me on Instagram at HelenFritch_IFBB Pro. You can also reach me at helen@ageisirrelevant.com. And if you'd like to catch up with Natalie, you can find her on Facebook at Natalie Grabow, and that's Grabow. Until next time, keep living boldly, aging fearlessly, and always remember, age truly is irrelevant. Bye-bye.